Yesterday, Sinchu wrote that Pakatan is heading for a breakup. And if Pakatan falls, then democracy is going to suffer. When they talk about Pakatan, they always equate it with democracy. If Pakatan fails, democracy is finished. When they talk about UMNO, they talk about Ketuanan Melayu or racism. Some even call it apartheid, a la Malaysia. When they talk about PAS, they talk about Islamic fundamentalists, extremists, Taliban. You see how the Chinese media, who mostly are pro-DAP and by extension, therefore, pro-Pakatan, they always use positive references for Pakatan and DAP. And when it comes to what? UMNO, PAS, or Barisan, they will use negative references. This is the brainwashing strategy that DAP and Pakatan is using. When Chinese talk about Chinese issues, whether it is education, schools, or whatever, it is under the heading of civil liberties, human rights, democracy. But when the Malays talk about Malay issues or Islamic issues, it is racism and extremism. After 50 years of this brainwashing, since 3 generations ago, since my grandfather's time, and considering I now have grandchildren, we are talking actually about 5 generations, not just 3. After so many generations, Malaysians have been brainwashed, indoctrinated into believing the propaganda. This was how communism flourished in China and Russia and many other countries. They play with words, they play with labels, and they teach school children from the age of 5, 6, or 7 the new morality code. So much so that children actually reported on their parents. When teachers ask what their parents say or do, the children, of course, in their innocence, the children will reveal what their parents say and do. And the secret police will come around midnight and arrest the parents based on information from the children. So brainwashing children at school level has been proven very effective in communist China, communist Russia, and many other countries. Even the Nazis used to do that in Germany. Brainwash the children and get the children to become agents and spies for the government. This initiative of introducing propaganda comic books into schools is actually a very clever DAP strategy, which goes in lines with the Nazis and the Fazis and the communists and you name it, all those movements in history which has been the enemy of civil liberties, the enemy of human rights, the enemy of democracy. This is DAP strategy. In other words, DAP is the enemy of democracy. Until today, DAP talks about 61 years of mismanagement and misrule. Anwar Ibrahim today in his speech said the same thing. 60 years of mismanagement. What 60 years? Wasn't those 60 years also contributed by many of the UMNO leaders who are now in Pakatan? If you want to say UMNO is corrupt, UMNO, Barisan Nasional mismanaged the country, UMNO practically destroyed the country over 60 years, that 60 years includes all those UMNO people, Barisan people, who are now in Pakatan. We talk about Mahathir, we talk about Anwar Ibrahim, even we talk about Rafida Aziz, Rais Yatin. What about Ling Leong Sek? Didn't DAP try to put Leong Sek in jail for corruption? Many of those so-called crooks and scoundrels and thieves and robbers that they talk about, they are now in Pakatan. So why is Pakatan talking about the history of UMNO and how badly the country was managed and how corrupted the leaders were, when today those leaders are still running the country? Until today. The so-called mismanagement, misrule, and corrupt government of Barisan Nasional did not end on 10th of May. We're talking about GE14 last year, which was 9th of May. 10th of May, we had a new government. And it wasn't Malaysia Baru. It was just a new government, which is the same old government. When we talk about Malaysia Baru, it was Malaysia Lama. When we talk about PKR, it was also UMNO Baru 3.0. When we talk about Pakatan Harapan is just Barisan Nasional 2.0. The only thing is, the old Barisan Nasional did not have PAS and DAP, and the new Barisan Nasional has got PAS and DAP. But PAS Baru, which is Amanah, UMNO Baru, which is PKR and PBBM, and DAP, which is basically MCA Baru and Gerakan Baru. Because DAP might say they are different from Gerakan and MCA, but DAP and MCA and Gerakan, all three share the same perjuangan. They fight for the same things. They are united, actually. DAP, MCA, and Gerakan. They are united by cause, but divided by politics. And politics is not about cause. Politics is about power. So they share the same cause. However, they quarrel over power. That's all. And whether it's PBBM or UMNO, is the same thing. Their cause is Perjuangan Melayu. Whether it's Amanah or PAS, same thing. Their cause is Perjuangan Islam. The only thing is Amanah pretends to be moderate Islam, liberal Islam. Actually, Amanah and PAS, no difference. The Amanah Muslims and the PAS Muslims practice exactly the same Islam. The only thing is, PAS is sincere in their belief and Amanah pretends to be different. But the Amanah people will still not eat pork, will still not drink liquor, will still not gamble in Genting. But they will pretend that they are liberal because politically they need Chinese and Indian support. So they act as if they are liberal and modern and not as so-called extremist as past. That is all. Many people say what they see in Pakatan is no difference from what they see in Barisan, and many are now saying they are very disappointed that Pakatan has failed to deliver its promises. Of course, Pakatan cannot deliver its promises because its promises were only meant to attract votes. They never intended to deliver the promise from the beginning, and Mahathir said so. Mahathir said they made those promises without any intention to deliver, and they thought they might not even win the election, which means they did not deliver. When they won the election, they got caught off guard, and now they don't know what to do because they know it is impossible to deliver whatever they promise.